that, introduce Kathy Schrader. She's got some comments she'd like to make. Kathy, will you come up and use the mic, please?
My name is Kathy Schrader. I'm a resident. I live in Idaho State subdivision. I just want to make other residents aware of a Facebook group called Westbrook Action Group. The agenda of this group is to present to residents who are allowed to join their biased point of view on decisions coming before the Board of Directors, and to complain about Board of Directors decisions that do not fit their agenda. One of those agenda items is to oust our General Manager, Karen Jones, as well as those board members that did not vote for lead plan on our amenities. This group is focused on competition pickleball and will stop at nothing to get their way, including using our guest policy, and that's being discussed today. This topic was discussed in detail, pickleball, league pickleball, in the rec committee, ad hoc committee, back to a rec committee, and finally by the Board of Directors. As an aside, I just want to make a point that only one Board of Directors member is in this Facebook group, and that's Mr. Tim Davis, even though he might argue that he's not on it. To the uninformed resident, especially to those new to our community, one might believe that the posts are designed to be helpful. In truth, they are opinions and views of the admins of the page. None of the information is vetted by a committee or the Board of Directors for accuracy. In addition, if a member disagrees with the post or if a response is not to the liking of the admin, the member is removed from the page, as well as anyone who knows that individual who is being blackballed. I know this for a fact, as I was removed. My husband was removed. He had never even posted on the page, as well as friends of mine. Their call for transparency is inaccurate. This appears to be a political action group doing their best to overturn any Board of Directors directive they do not like. Do we need this in Westbrook Village? We elect our board to represent the entire 3,910 homes in our community, not just the 100 to 130 who want something that opens our amenities to non-residents. I'd like to find a way to make all our residents aware of this biased information being spread. We depend on our Board of Directors and administration to protect all residents. Our private amenities are a selling point for future real estate transactions. On that topic, I urge the board to put up the gates on our pickleball courts so that all residents are checked in properly, as well as guest usage kept to reasonable. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. And does anyone else have any comments for the board? Then I will ask that we stand for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And I ask all board members to make sure that they speak into the microphone so that the audio is clear on the recording. Thank you. I'm calling the meeting to order at 9:05. And Secretary Allen is not here to confirm the quorum. So, Marcy, will you read that little blip?
Yep. Pursuant to Article 4, Section 7 of the bylaws of Westbrook Village, quorum 1/2 of the number of directors then serving shall constitute a quorum at a meeting of the board. There are 7 directors of the Westbrook Village Board at this time. 4 directors must be present to meet quorum requirements. We have met quorum requirements.
And Max Allen is excused. He's got the flu, and we don't want it. So. Okay, review, correction, and approval of previous minutes. They're on pages 1, 2, 2 and 3.
I would move that we accept the minutes.
I second.
Any corrections or comments? Vince? That is you, right? I don't have my good glasses on to see far away.
I would wear a hat so that you wear it as a blind.
Okay.
Appropriate hat that it is.
Yeah.
We talked about the candidates forum discussion, and it says right in here that that would be an agenda item for this meeting today, and I don't see it.
It will be covered in for the good of the order.
For the good of the order. Nice start. Thank you.
Anything else? All right, then I'll call for the vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Or raise your hand. Tim, did you raise your hand?
I did.
Okay. Very good, it was unanimous. Thank you. The treasurer's report, Steve.
Okay, it's on page 4. Following figures are subject to audit. This is for the month ending November 30th, 2024. General operating fund, money that we use to run this place every day. Cash and CDs on hand at the end of November was $1.5 million. For the full year 2024, we are forecasting total revenues of $3.3 million, of which $3 million will come from the homeowners' annual assessments. Budgeted expenses forecast for 2024 are $3.3 million with $125,000 to transfer to our reserve fund. From November, our revenue and expenses are in line with our forecast. However, we continue to monitor expenditures and undergo the same pricing increases that you are all seeing if you're shopping anywhere. In addition, there remains a large unknown as to what may lie ahead with regards to home sales, interest rates, and the general economy moving forward. The replacement reserve fund, which we use for our major projects here, cash and CDs on hand at the end of November, $4.7 million. In 2024, we are forecasting revenue of $782,000. Revenue comes primarily from new homeowner preservation fees, of which is $633,000. The 2024 reserve budget includes a transfer revenue of $125,000 from the operating budget and projected interest of approximately $24,000. Now, through November, the interest revenue that we've earned is $80,000, which is a nice increase over the $24,000 we were expecting. Reserve fund expenditures budgeted for 2024 are $1,142,250. Ongoing expenditures remain planned for the perimeter wall repair, which is an ongoing project here at the Lakes Complex asphalt project, which I believe we are completed on, and the fitness center architect that we're still working on. Other normal infrastructure repairs and replacement and expenditures will be addressed as needed, which is day to day. Now, to get to the reserve study, it's done by an independent company, and we have that done every 3 to 5 years, and that tells us if we are on path and keeping the community viable. The reserve study executive summary completed on October 3rd, 2024 shows for 2025 that we are 70.4 fully funded, meaning the act of a special assessment is low. So, Tim, why would you tell a resident here that we are 51% funded and we were probably gonna have a special assessment?
Can you quote me where it said that?
Oh, no, I can't quote you. But did you get this report that I just saw you handing out this morning?
Say again?
Did you get a copy of this as a board member?
Yes.
What does it say right here in the middle of the page? 70.4 fully funded, correct? Correct? Correct?
What is your problem?
I have no problem.
Yeah, you do.
I have no problem.
You need to back off.
Okay,
So,
Tim.
hold on, you're saying that I said that somewhere that I said there was a 51%. So I asked you where you got that, and you're dumbfounded.
I saw that letter that you sent. It was an email that you sent. An email to a
Why
resident.
did you use a scare tactic to all of our residents and your friends?
What made you think that was a scare tactic?
What else could it be?
Because when I
Or
said,
are you just, maybe you just don't understand this report? Tell me. I'm waiting for an explanation. And I'm moving on.
no, you're not. So here we go. So when did the 51% come out, or in the early 50s? It came out during your budget meetings.
Yes.
During the
Did
budget
not.
meetings before we had all our
Did
numbers in
it
place.
not? So you're, okay, so you're saying it did. So what was the date on that email? And who was it to?
I don't have privy to
Of course you
anyone
don't,
else's
but you're gonna
email.
go out and throw out accusations.
It's not an
I asked
accusation.
you to stand down.
If you did it or didn't do it,
Show me the
why
letter.
are you?
Show me the letter.
The letter was,
If you,
the letter was,
don't pile on this.
No,
So
I
you show
don't.
me the letter. This is.
the fact is that 51% misinformation really cast the HOA finances in a bad light.
Show me the letter. Who was it written to?
Kathy Schrader, she's got it right there. She'll show it to you.
Kathy Schrader and I had that's, Kathy,
Right here.
I have never been, are you Kathy Schrader?
Yes, I am.
Okay, fantastic. So you're looking at a personal message between you and I, is that correct?
It's a Facebook
If
message.
it's a personal iMessage between you and I, and at the time, we were at 51%.
I doubt it.
Mr. Davis, when you approved the budget at October 31st, it was 70%. You voted to approve the budget for 2025, and it was at 70.4%.
This goes back to speaking about releasing information that is in draft form, which we have said, do not do that because it might lead to misinformation. That 51% was a draft number that was improved upon with the committee, with the budget committee. And so you put out into the community a number that really would dictate that a special assessment probably would be in order. We are asking you not to
I'm going
release
to ask
draft.
Kathy to read the entire message in its total. Go ahead.
Well, first things first, Kathy, are you comfortable with that?
What is she? She's providing.
Oh my gosh.
She's
If you're not, you don't have to read it.
Oh my gosh.
No, you're just gonna, she's just gonna throw it out.
Okay.
It's not an accusation, it's right here.
Well, but you
Read it.
can only read it.
In March of 2022,
From the beginning,
laws
please.
changed drastically in Arizona.
You come up to the mic.
Kathy, can you come up to the mic?
Yes, I'm so
Thank-
sorry.
No, don't be.
I'll read the
Part that he says. Our reserve account funding is approximately 51%. Not good in my opinion. Due to inflation, we are in need to look at having special assessment. Those are your words.
Yeah, but
In writing.
you're not reading the rest of it.
You don't want me to read the
I
rest of
do,
it, sir.
actually.
You don't read
Okay,
it.
I'll tell you what, I will.
Go ahead.
I am so sorry, everybody. This is just
You don't
ridiculous.
have to apologize.
No, yes, it is,
Like
because this was a private supposed to be a private communication between you and I.
May I speak?
No,
No.
Sure, sure.
Right.
not till we're done talking about this.
Yes, yes.
This.
You will be given a turn, Nancy, you will be given a turn.
Well, I have a short memory.
I'm sorry. Are you going to read it to him, or?
I'm looking for it.
Okay.
December 8th.
I'm looking for it. I just found the app.
I'm sorry. Yeah, December 8th, 2024.
Let me, the treasurer of the community, apologize for this. But I felt that the community at large needed to know that we are over 70% fully funded, which puts us in a strong position, not 51%.
So this is what I've got. Kathy, thank you for hanging in on the thread. Your opinion is helpful and I appreciate it. Thank you. Please let me know if I can discuss the court mapping with you privately. They put Westbrook Village Association residents in the Canadian courts. Your thoughts? Kathy, thank you for your post. I was removed from the WAG site a while ago in theory to allow Westbrook Village residents the ability to talk freely. What I enjoy about your post is that you are communicating. Topic 1, confidential documents. The only documents that are confidential pertain to the Arizona Revised Statute ARS 33-1804, executive closed meeting topics. Any draft or official documents are attainable to the residents. Our general manager mentioned that in September meeting. Town hall meetings, number 2. There hasn't been any none have been scheduled. In May 2024, I submitted and adopted a standard operating procedure for town halls. As you know, I'm the committee chairman, so it's my responsibility. Topics were submitted for discussion concerning town halls to the board for consideration. You're right, I've said that no town halls are needed in your opinion. The state legislature passed a new law regarding street parking. The HOA will have to vote on it, or our policy would be void regarding overnight parking. Private Westbrook Village Association streets have their own rules. Public streets are the concern. Even though the new law doesn't affect them and their voting could change their public street policy. In March of 2022, common law changed drastically in Arizona. The state requires us to amend the CCNRs if we want to make changes that are more restrictive. Our attorney agrees. Our reserve account is funding is approximately 51%. Not good in my opinion. Due to our inflation, we need to look to have special assessment. The budget committee talked about $100 special assessment per household. It is my opinion that community should know and be part of the decision, again, for state mandates. What are your thoughts? And then, Kathy, please call me if you like. Here's my number. And then you said, just wondering if you were deleted from the Westbrook Action Group sites, and you were also not my friend, how are you even aware of my post? Well, unfortunately, I didn't come across my page. Someone is filtering information.
Across your page.
Just let me finish. Okay, I apologize for saying that. Someone filtering information to you. Sorry, I don't trust anything you say, post, etc. That's her saying that to me. And she said, what? No response? No answer. And I said, you and I have been friends for a while on Facebook. I don't mind that you don't trust me, but I'm happy to see is that you were communicating. Marcy, board member, and I were on the WAG site at the beginning. You had mentioned that Amy said that she is depleting funds regarding the HOA lawyer, that I am depleting the funds. What is sad about the statement is that it's accurate and telling. Amy did make the comment, yeah, it's telling me that it's unnecessary. The board should sit down and communicate with each other. And then you said that is a bold-faced lie. I have never confirmed you as a friend on my page, ever, exclamation. One of your posse members passed information about my post to you. Your call for transparency is a joke. You can't even be honest about this. And then I said, I checked my friends list, and you are correct. I am not an expert on Facebook, but maybe someone commented on a post and I can read it on my line in my feed. I am making an effort to have open dialogue with you. I am open to whatever you say. Take one of your concerns and try it. And you said, nope, that doesn't fly with me. And I said, what doesn't fly? And you said, your excuse. And I said, I took a photo of your statement, yet my phone won't allow me to post. I am sure you would agree that disagreements cannot be worked out unless one is willing to have discussions. And then you said, and liars need to be called out. You are still a member of the WAG page. I also have my way of checking. This is the discussion. You and WAG are not forthcoming with truth. Took a picture of my post. How? I just can't. I am laughing. It says, not at your expense. You were correct again regarding WVA. I was dropped off, but when I checked it, they welcomed me back. So I am admitting I am an admitted liar. I said, however, that's some progress. You said, progress, question mark? Not so, loose breath. Not buying that at all. And then I said, Kathy, never been called that before. This attempt to have dialogue is likened to something that you were accusing me of. Amy is passing, going straight to the lawyer versus dialogue. And that's one thing that I've always said in here, we need to talk. Yeah, it's my fault funds are being drained. I admitted that. I don't buy that. Or I said, I'm sorry, yet it's my fault funds are being drained, I don't buy that. I think you should, then you said, I think you should state publicly, work for the good for all 910 homes and stop blaming others for your own gaffes. How's that for dialogue? And then I said, state what specifically. So here I'm trying to communicate.
It just keeps going. You could be here for an hour.
Yeah, but here's the deal. But yours basically what, and I mentioned study sessions, but you said to put your own slant on issues, we don't need them. Save your breath. So I was reaching out to you in an attempt to have dialogue, and you were calling me names, and yep, there's something on there that says 51%. Okay.
Why? And that copy was there. Why?
But here's the deal. And every piece of my dialogue that I gave you, I was trying to be nice and have dialogue with you. You're the one that was attacking me, but I was trying to work with you.
You reached out to me, sir, on a Facebook message.
I did. In good
I
faith.
think I'm allowed to respond to that and.
But to put a personal message out to the board.
Yeah, when you're giving incorrect information.
Okay, let's,
Okay, let me finish the treasurer's report and then we can go on.
then Nancy, you can make your point. Okay?
Okay, go ahead.
No, finish the treasurer's report and then Nancy can speak.
These financials will be on file at the Westbrook Village Association Admin Office after noon tomorrow, January 9th. The November Treasurer's Report will be approved at the January 8th Board of Directors meeting and available the following day. Should anyone have any questions, instead of listening to rumors and hearsay, please call 623-561-0099, or you could use a novel approach and call me. I'm the treasurer. Thank you.
Okay, one last comment. I want everybody in this room to know that this is what I call shotgunning. So Steve, you didn't tell me in advance that you were going to present this for me. And
I read the treasurer's report at every meeting.
You're not allowing me to speak. So you shotgunned me here. What you could have done is what I've been trying to get this board to do from the beginning is to communicate. So you could have contacted me personally and let me know what was going on. And we could have dialogue. And you're running for re-election here.
That's got nothing to do with it.
Yes, it does, because I'll tell you what, this board needs to communicate. And Amy, you're in charge of this. We need to sit down, we need to have study sessions, we need to talk, and we don't need to have people in the community that to be honest with you, I'm glad that you brought this.
You want dialogue, Tim, correct?
I want
Is that what you're looking for here? Where was your dialogue to me when you sent that to Kathy? I'm the treasurer. Before you threw out erroneous numbers, why wouldn't you call me? You're looking for dialogue and transparency? Where is it?
Well, that's a good point.
It is a good point,
I
so how
sat
are
down
you
with
gonna do
you,
that?
because I sat down with you in your committee meeting, and at that time it was 51%.
Okay, wait a minute, you didn't even get to the second meeting, at the end of the second meeting, we were late to.
So, at the end of October, that 70% number was.
What did you bring to the budget?
No, it was not.
You know you messed up, admit it.
No, actually, I think, first of all, I think it is. I think that you're absolutely right.
I've done.
When I reached out to Kathy in good faith, I messed up.
I said I'm done listening to you.
Okay, then fair enough.
You want to be a disruptive force on the board, disruptive force in the community, that's entirely up to you.
No, you can interpret that any way you want.
Interpret what?
What you just said.
So
You
what
said I'm
you
a
told Kathy
disruptive
was
force. You said I'm a
honest.
disruptive force. And so what I've been trying to talk about to this board from the beginning, which we'll be talking about today, and Karen got my email this morning, which I gave the PDF on Calvin. And so I'm gonna present my case on that.
Okay, let's move on. Let's move on. I want Nancy to make her comment.
Excuse me, Madam Chair, you need a motion on the
Okay.
treasurer's report, and then the audience can discuss.
I make a motion that we accept the treasurer's report as given.
Yeah, subject to audit.
I'll second that.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
anything else? Then all in favor?
All right.
Okay, that was unanimous. Okay, Nancy, come forward, please, and make your comment.
I'm kind of speechless right now. I find this whole thing embarrassing. The behavior of the board, the behavior of certain people in the audience, it's all about spying on people, reputations, innuendos. I mean, what is this all about? What are we doing here?
Why are you doing it?
I'm not doing it, what am I doing? Well, don't laugh, tell me what I'm doing.
Nancy,
So it's my turn to be taken to the.
No,
Come on,
do you have a further comment you
you're
want to
the administrator of the WAG group.
Oh, so this is about WAG now.
No, I'm just saying, people in glass houses shouldn't feel so.
There's nothing wrong with the Facebook WAG, Westbrook Action Committee and group. There's nothing wrong with
You're
it.
welcome to have it,
Have you ever heard of freedom of speech?
absolutely.
Okay, that's what we're doing. We're not reporting anything inaccurate. We also have a caveat at the end of everything we report that says if you want to question anything that's said, please go look at the video and you can determine yourself what was said at the board meetings. That's all we're doing. We're reporting what is said at the board meetings. We're giving updates.
I will
No
say there
opinions.
are inaccuracies, it's a personal opinion of the fact. So,
Again, the caveat, go look at the video if you think, I have not gotten any response that says any of the stuff we've said is inaccurate. So, and again, freedom of speech. Facebook is freedom of speech.
Okay, thank you.
Could I say something?
come up to the microphone, please.
Tell us your name, please.
My name is Candace Isherwood, and I would like to say to Nancy, if your organization is freedom of speech, why am I not allowed to enter? You have literally blackballed me, and I've never been on that site. I've requested 3 or 4 times within the last 3 to 4 weeks, and I have not been accepted. And I believe it's because I'm guilty by association. I don't believe in everything my friends believe in. I do some things, but I have a right to at least be a part of your transparency or freedom of speech. That's all I gotta say.
Thank you. Okay, do we really need to, Vince?
Yeah, I need just one
Come on up, come on. Come on.
I actually want to talk about financial.
Good.
You know, hindsight's 2020. We're all experts about the financial sitting here.
All right.
Yeah, and thinking about, well, why wasn't this done? Why wasn't that done? But when you're in the heat of the battle, it's a lot different when you're sitting in that chair or your chair or his chair. Okay, it's very difficult to do that. And we have somebody in the village, and his name is Sills, Sil Mayorano, who's been the treasurer for, what, 4 years, right? He had 2 terms. Okay, his whole career was doing exactly what we need done here in the village, and that is somebody to look at the numbers and to look and project and to be proactive and to be reactive. And this is not a statement against any of you here, okay? I'm just saying we have somebody here who is willing, because I asked him, would you be willing to help out with just overseeing and then in an advisory committee or an advisory position to help with the treasury? For instance, I'm still concerned, even at 70%, which I do understand is a good number for the reserve, okay? But I think what the biggest problem was, Jerry getting up at the annual meeting and just bragging about 110%, when we all know now that that number was incorrect. And then you get the shock of hearing all those other numbers.
Jerry interrupted, it was not incorrect. It changed after the reserve study was updated due to inflation.
Okay.
Jerry's presentation was accurate at the time.
Okay, but again, to my point, I think most of us here have gone through 3 years of inflation, and as we're progressing, we've made adjustments, okay? And I don't know, and I'm saying this because I don't know the facts, but if we made enough adjustments over those 3 years so that we can come in, maybe you have, maybe you haven't, I don't know. But what I'm saying is you as a board have the authority to appoint somebody in an advisory position to help with the finances.
Right.
And I believe that would really give us an extra boost of confidence and somebody with the experience of doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, to say, you know, we're looking to hire an architect and spend more money on an architect now for something that we may not even be able to do for another year or two, the gym, doesn't, to me, isn't a good way to spend our money right now. And maybe that's where a person like in that position would say, you know, we really shouldn't be doing that right now. Let's get our house in order.
And that's exactly what happened in the long-range plan.
You
It's not in
can't,
your budget for 25.
you can't not attend meetings.
I don't understand, then why are we looking to hire an architect?
We're not.
That was part of the budget, but that doesn't mean we have to spend the money.
It was not to hire the architect, it was for improvements on the existing HVAC and the gym.
Okay, well, maybe it's just me, the way I heard it, but.
Have you
The way it was said.
have you spoken with Sil recently?
I have.
Because he came in and reviewed all the financials.
Yeah, he told me that after his review, you were right on the number.
And
He said between 70 and 75.
And
Yeah, so-
under Sil, we went down to like 63%. So he's a good guy and he knows his business, but you know, the message is inflation hit us. And there are a lot of very competent people sitting in the Ways and Means meetings. And that might be the meeting that you really want to go to.
Okay,
And to have confidence in the leadership in that meeting.
very good, that's what I want to say.
Okay, thank you.
Vince.
Yes,
Just a simple question. I think the home sale
Name,
estimate.
please.
Sorry. we skipped to Zone A to regulatory bonds. I think the estimate was 170 home sales for this year or next year.
150?
150. Do we have a number for this past year?
162, I think, is where we finished out. We budgeted 150 for '24 as well.
Okay.
And I believe we have received funding for 162 closings.
Okay. And average overall has been closer to 200, 250?
We were at 320 at one time. When Sil was the treasurer, our home sales were
Yeah, I was just,
exceeding 300 homes
yeah, so I was just thinking that that's a big part
of our revenue.
seeing those numbers coming through. So it just tells me a lot more.
Right.
Thank you.
So they budgeted 150.
Gotta think that mortgage rate out there for that number. Okay, so we voted upon and we're moving on. Facilities usage report. Any questions or comments? Sandra, I didn't call on you again. Did you have a point you wanted to go back to again?
Yes. Mine is that I think it's more appropriate that you handle personnel issues in executive session. I think that's the appropriate venue.
All right, you have to come up to the microphone. People can't hear
She
you.
suggested that it was more appropriate to handle personnel issues in an executive session. Thank you. Yes. Okay, back to the facilities usage. Are there any questions or comments? Yes.
I have,
Yeah.
done a data search.
Can you come up, please?
I'm short. All right, I'm gonna read this so I keep my 3 minutes, all right? Westbrook, thank you. This is, to the Westbrook Village Board of Directors, Madam President, Karen, and the residents, okay? I just want to say that I have lived in Westbrook Village for 25 years. I too am a second generation resident. I have seen my fair share of comings and goings in our beautiful community. I always said we get a big bang for our buck in Westbrook Village. And that's why you moved here, I'm sure. So there are 2 concerns I would like to address regarding, this is the guest policy. I'm sorry. Do we want to wait till we get to that?
Yes, probably it would seem more relevant.
Yeah, even though I did do data on this, and that's how I came up with my
I get it.
trending.
I get it.
Okay, I'll come back.
Thank you.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. Okay, Vista's pool update. Karen.
All right, Sean and I met with Cal Pools, and first and foremost, the backwash broken line has been repaired, completely under warranty. They accepted responsibility for that, and those of you that have seen the trenching and the open trench, Bruce, it's now closed, and all the plumbing has been completed. They're working with the landscapers now to get everything put back in place. And we are still awaiting a quote to remove the tile to bring to the board.
Any questions or comments on that? Okay. Good job that there weren't any.
No, just like to see everybody get all the issues get
Yes.
through the system and get through that present.
The next item is attorney letter to the community, and the letter that refers to is attached to your copies of the agenda. And this letter was requested by me in a phone call, not a written thing. After the last meeting, Mr. Davis challenged legally several issues that were on the agenda that we were going to vote upon. And it concerned me that the perception might become that we were conducting business that was not legitimate, that it was against the law, or that it was not in our documentation and whatnot. So I asked the attorney to assure the community that in fact, business in this corporation is in fact handled copacetically. Our documents do allow us to pass, the board to pass rules and regulations. On page 11 of the CCNRs, it says, the association through the board of directors may make and enforce reasonable rules and regulations governing the use of the properties, which rules and regulations shall be consistent with the rights and duties established by this declaration. So it is the board's responsibility to oversee the common areas and pass reasonable rules and policies regarding that. And the attorney letter, I asked to have her to make sure of that, because there is a case out there that Mr. Davis had referred to a few times, and I wanted to make sure, as your president of your association, that we were doing things correctly. And so I did go to the attorney. I know Mr. Davis thinks that there should be lengthy discourse on that, but in every circumstance, when the HOA is issued a legal challenge, the first step is the attorney, and not to have a lot of public discussion on it. So that's why I did what I did, and that's in the past, that's what I've always done. So thank you. That's why that happened. But this is in regard to, we tabled several items of business last month, and I'd like to proceed and work on those items at this time. So the first item is the resident gas pass price increase. And may I have a motion that would include effective date, the price of the guest pass, and the number of guests that would be allowed in, as seen after recommendations by the ad hoc committee. Thank you.
So this, the ad hoc committee's suggestion was keep the 320 annual gas passes per property. And per the budget committee recommendation, additional purchase punch pass would be 20 punches for $100, which is $5 a punch. Maximum 5 guests are allowed per resident per day. No town hall or survey. And we never, I don't remember if we discussed an effective immediately date being once the board votes, or if we were going to post date it, or how we were going to do that.
The budget committee had recommended January 1st. This was in the December board.
That's right.
And it got tabled to what Amy was talking about. So effective immediately, or January, or February, whatever.
We can't retroactively,
Right.
the charges have been collected and whatnot that were made in January, so it can't be retroactive.
Okay.
So you're suggesting effective immediately in your motion?
Yes.
All right. May I have a second on that motion?
I'll second that.
Thank you. All right, board discussion on that.
I'm going to jump in right now because I was part of the ad hoc committee. And I saw this as a positive move forward or a good compromise until the young lady got up in her last board meeting, who happens to be a single grandma. And it was very restricted to her, and I'm concerned about that. And I feel that if we're gonna put a cap on the number of guests per day, there should be some sort of avenue for those with family members to exceed that number. And I think we need to be, recognize that one particular issue. Because for me, as is written right now, I can't vote yes with a clear conscience on this. Thank you.
Do you have any suggestions, Bruce?
Somebody offered the suggestion, I'm sorry, Bruce. And they suggested that grandkids get in free throughout the whole year. If you bring your grandkid in, that child comes in free through the gate.
Is there an age limit on that?
It would have to be defined probably.
Yeah, I believe the suggestion was 12. That's what came to me, so I'm just putting that out there.
Yeah, for me, that helps bridge that gap, because I'm a grandparent too. But I also have a spouse at home, and then when we made this decision, I was thinking that, my wife can bring in 5 and I can bring in 5, others can't, that's easy. So that's why I feel that we need to address this, and or if we're gonna vote on this, for me, we need to amend it to make that allowance for grandkids. And I think if we put a age limit to that, 12's okay, but I'd probably even say 16, but that's my 2 cents, thanks.
Okay, that's good. Okay,
Bruce, I think, I like the age going to 16. I think that's a good appropriate number. I know there's plenty of people, myself included, who I am also a grandparent. If they came down here, I'd like for them to enjoy without any, I guess if you want to use a penalty to the parents or grandparents on their punch card. But I'd be more than open to voting if it was 16.
so what I'm hearing is that the motion should be amended to say guests of 16 years and older.
What about the relation of the grandchild?
Well, I'm afraid if we make every kid prove that that's grandma standing next to him, that's going to become a little bit of a burden.
That's actually a really good way
So,
to
I don't want to put that in the motion.
I agree. Look, I mean, teenagers today, they like to travel together. So if their friends can, bring your friends along or friend along. So they fly down, they bring one friend. They're not related, but they're clearly in the same age group. That's why I thought Bruce's number 16 was a righteous number to put in here.
Do you want to amend the motion?
Well, I would amend my motion to add, how do we want to phrase this? Guests under the age of 16 are free, or do we want to say anyone over the age of 16 is considered a guest?
Questions approach.
Whichever you want to use. I think both are.
Could we put them both in, could we put like a slash in my motion and use them both so we're covered?
Okay. Okay. And Bob, do you agree to that amendment?
I'll agree to that.
Okay, first Candace did, and I'm going to get to you.
And I believe this is the right time, before you make a decision, I just want to give you a little food for thought, okay? I dug into those facility usage reports and all the data, and I looked at a couple. There was one disturbing trend, and I think we need to be aware of this, all of us. There are two concerns I would like to address regarding our guest policy. When researching a concern, I always feel it's important to look at the data, which is included in our facilities usage reports, commonly known to all of you as FERC. The data shows a 39% increase in guests from 2023 to 2024. Here's the real concern. I only found 5 months of data on our website. And I feel this 39% increase is only for 5 months in 2024. So it's really a partial year. I predict that the remaining 5 months of data, which I'm sure we'll have soon, right, Karen?
Correct, I'm making a note as you speak.
At the end of the year, we'll push that increase up to around 50%. Think about that, okay? This is huge. It's a disturbing trend that supports tightening our guest policy, not opening it, okay? That's my opinion. So I realize there's a recommendation to increase the cost of our guest cards before the board. This action does not address reducing the number of guests coming into our community. I don't even believe that enough money would be generated to cover the wear and tear, let alone the liability. Raising the price does not address the issue of reducing our guest numbers. When thinking of revenue sources, I think of amounts of 10,000 or above. You know, this is pittance. This is not a lot of money. This action only gives the impression we are okay. We want more guests. I don't know, that's kind of how I'm feeling. A more bold approach would be to maybe look at those non-resident cards we hand out where people come and use our gym for like, what, $150 a year? I just know people pay $150 a month to join a sport club. Just a thought. So I do want to say there is a disclaimer in the data. It is not longitudinal. I would love to try to go back and look at it and do some comparisons. The disaggregating of the guest punches did not record in the first report, the firm reports on a monthly basis until last January. So obviously the board felt a need for that and wanted to study it. But I was able to find the data in the year-end report for 23, okay? And there's so many variables, like the closing of the pool, the COVID, there's so many things that adjust that percentage. So that is, I want to thank you everyone, including the residents. I hate when my back's to them. And I'm willing to help in looking at more data and generating solutions to reducing this disturbing trend in our guest numbers. I mean, it's a lot. I mean, I think we should look at percentages in Sun City Grand. You know, what is their percentage? And I know people say, don't look at other places, but how are you gonna learn? You know, how are you gonna say, are we within the ballpark? So, I appreciate this. I honestly don't think our facilities can sustain such high guest numbers. That's all I wanted to say.
Excuse me, what's your name again, please?
Candace.
I'm sorry?
Candace Isherwood. Do you have a question, Tim?
No, I just wanted to introduce.
Okay. Have you looked at the data?
Have I looked at the data?
Yeah.
Great question. That is a great question. So yes, there's like 2 or 3 facilities that really jumped up in the use this year.
Right, and I didn't want to point any fingers to point out, but it's
So,
obvious.
first of all, I think you're on the right track. I think we should look at that. And then again, what we need to look is as far as shelf life, you know, on certain items, and see if we can really handle that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So just as an FYI to the board, the rec center's assistant is working on data from 2023 and closing out 24. So next month in your binder, we will have, we were able to go back to 23 and see what the guest usage was. But clearly the 39% is a trending number.
Donna Karnowski. Just the same comment I made last month as well. My husband and I are blessed with 4 amazing married children. So in this and reading this, when my family comes, all my family are in town, that means I have to keep 3 adult children away and not able to come play, to go play whatever we're playing, to do something in Westbrook. And also we're blessed with 7 beautiful grandkids. So my 7 grandkids could come in, and then we, the 5 people that are allowed to come play, are going to be able to watch all 7 instead of having the entire family together. I wish that would make some kind of a change, or the board would make some kind of a change for the maximum 5 guests. I don't know how you would consider that.
That's per resident?
So we would get 10, so my
Yes.
husband and I would each get 10, is that correct?
Yes.
You would each get 5 for
Or 5, I'm
A
sorry.
total account, so your whole family can come.
So my family is able to come, okay.
with the new suggested.
Yes.
Okay, so
And
that's
if they're
per
under,
person.
and if they're under 16, they're not getting counted.
Not the grandkids.
Correct.
Correct, okay. Okay, that sounds good, because if we're starting to, and I agree, Candace, I mean, if we don't keep an eye on our amount of people that we have.
Not grandchildren. I love grandchildren.
Right, well, I love my children as well, too.
Yes.
I want my children to be around me too.
Right, right.
But if we don't keep an eye on it, yes, it can get out of control, but we have to remember, we're a community that we're all 55 and older, or so almost. And if word gets around that you have to pay $100 for 20 guest passes to have your family and friends come, I'm gonna move out and go somewhere else. That'll allow me to have great fun with my family in my senior year.
I don't think that's the intent at all.
I know, it isn't, but it could be looked at that way at times. So just if you could please keep that in mind as well.
Sure.
I would appreciate it.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Okay, Kathy Carter first before you, then you're next.
Good morning. My name is Kathy Carter and I live in Willow Ridge. And just as all of you have struggled with this whole guest policy, I really have too. And I did a lot of thinking about it. And I realized that the majority of residents don't even use their 20 guest punches. So we need to have a policy that considers their opinions on this issue. Then there are the occasional users like spring break and Christmas when our families show up. So occasionally we use our guest passers, and then there are the abusers. Trying to create a policy that works for all residents is really a challenge. The problem we've identified is that we have too many guests using our amenities. Keeping that problem in mind, we need to look at solutions. I too, as Candace is, I'm a second generation resident here, and I want to preserve our amenities, not just for us, but for our future homeowners. My daughter's already put dibs on my house, so, you know, in the future. So my suggestion, and I heard Donna loud and clear, but again, considering all residents of the community, what is in the best interest of everyone. My suggestion is that a resident may only check in 2 guests per day. For families, a resident can check in 2 adults and children under 18 by using 2 guest punches total. In other words, you're not punching the kids. The kids can come in. You cannot check in your family and an additional 2 non-family friends. 2 punches per day. Family is defined as the residents, children and grandchildren, great-grandchildren, sister, brother, parents, and their families. If the under 18 grandchildren are here alone, as you suggested, mine have traveled with their buddy too, then you can punch those two as your 2 punches, and their friend can come in under that scenario too. And you can have up to 4 children then, the 2 teenagers and 2 more. This policy recognizes the importance of families to our residents and allows a little more flexibility for families as opposed to just random guests that you have. In addition, the fitness center should be inaccessible to guests. The machines have a shelf life with moving cables, treadmills, leather seats that rip, and there's one in there that's ripped right now. We already recognize that it is undersized for our community, and we don't need extra people who are visiting using the equipment. There will be no additional cards available for purchase. Once your 20 guest punches are gone, you may not bring in additional guests. This should eliminate the abusers. Some residents may not know that there are residents signing in 10 to 15 guests at one time. This was never the intent of the current guest policy and is the reason we need to tighten up the guest policy language. Violations of the guest policy will result in the resident losing all privileges to use all amenities. We need regular monitoring of the use of the amenities. We have an employee who monitors the architectural standards, but there is currently no monitoring of the use of amenities. Until the pickleball courts are fenced in, we need regular monitoring, checking for IDs. This needs to occur on Saturdays and Sundays and after 10 o'clock on weekdays. These are trespassers, not guests. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
My name is Jan Tolan, and I live in, which one? Cypress Point. Okay, this I'm addressing only because it was mentioned briefly. I think it really applies more to the next item of club guest pass recommendations, but since we talked about the usage and the number of people coming in, I have a question, and it either can be applied here or to the next item. Why, I understand why we have guest passes or guest cards or whatever for things that are for people who are interacting with our own club members, okay, like the musicians or the whatever people that come in, or guests that come in to act or do whatever. Why do we have guests coming in without family members? Why do we have guests coming in using facilities like the gym and things like that? How is that, somebody had mentioned earlier for $150, a non-resident can come in and...
That policy is no longer in effect. The board updated that policy.
Okay.
A resident must be with their guest when they use the facility, when they check in at the front desk. And there's no $150
There is not,
passing
okay,
over.
okay, because that was mentioned in that set of applied for me. Okay, and then the other question I have is, I understand that we've talked about a gate around the pickleball court or a fence or something, and it was talked about last year to happen this year or something. This is just hearsay. So I'd like to know the status on fencing off that area, because I have been in the parking lot and I have witnessed young people, I'm in my 70s. So, say in their 30s, 40s, these kids, because my kids are in their 50s, but I've seen these young people drive in, park their car behind the pickleball courts, come out and walk right onto a court and start playing. And there is no monitoring at all. And the only few times that I've seen it happen, I'm sure it happens much more often. And so I'd like to know, when is that going to be taken care of? I'd like to see that. I'd like to hear something affirmative
So
on
the
that.
fence was part of the reserve budget approved for 2025. So the facilities manager and I will be working on the RFP and going out to bid So hopefully it can be built if the board and the rec committee and the architectural committee and the landscape and facilities and the budget committee all approve it.
Ways and means.
Ways and means, yeah.
Understand, okay, so our hope is it will be done in
The summer, 2025,
It's better to do that type of project in the summer.
Absolutely, while people are not around, as none of us Jesus. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you all. We'll get back to the motion, and that motion is, can you read it back to us, pretty please?
Yes, under 16, get in free, and over 16, we'll use a guest pass or guest lunch.
Okay, and it needs to include the price increase to,
The whole motion, yeah.
once the initial 20 punches have been used, the 20 free punches, and then the limit of 5 guests per resident per day.
Amy, point of order. So I would like to quickly read the Callaway decision, which I've cited, and it won't take very long. I've asked, and I don't know if you guys seen the TV series where I guess it's Ted Lasso, who says basically quotes Walt Whitman, says be curious, not judgmental, and I'm asking that you do that. And if we could put that up there, I appreciate it.
He just gave us a thumb drive.
Yeah.
So the Callaway decision in regards to a board policy,
Please let me explain, but first of all, we had Amy wrote a letter, you made a phone call to the attorney, and she replied.
Yes.
And again, it was put up there briefly, and nobody really had the opportunity, or really
It's on everybody's,
discuss it, but
everybody got a copy.
so my question is, Amy, the last paragraph of the association attorney letter
No,
says,
actually,
"And
what I'm
the
asking,
impact of the Callaway decision was limited to CC&R amendments that restrict the use of private property. The
okay,
Callaway decision does not impact the authority of the board to adopt and amend rules and policies governing association-owned common area, or the authority of the board to adopt and amend policies governing WVA clubs and the bylaws." So that's my clarification, and I would recommend that the board follow the association attorney recommended on this letter.
That is correct.
and we just need to get Callaway up there.
It is.
Madam President?
No, we're not gonna put it up there because we have an attorney opinion that Callaway is not relevant to this.
Thank you for that. So let me put my reading glasses and I'll just present it to you as a group. So the Callaway decision is basically comes from the Supreme Court of the state of Arizona. That's the top law enforcement here in the state of Arizona. And so basically on page 4, it talks about on item number B, it talks about notice requirement. So it says here, Arizona law permits the amendment of CCRs by a majority vote of such voting scheme as specified by the original declaration. So we're talking about the original declaration here. And it talks about Arizona Revised Statute 33-1817A, and then it says, but, and they emphasize but, does not displace common law, which prohibits some amendments even if passed by the majority vote. And this is very important to note here, guys. This is the crux here. It says the original declaration must give sufficient notice of the possibility of a future amendment. That is, amendments must be reasonable and foreseeable. And then it says, see the Dreamland decision. So I'm going to explain to you what that is.
We are not amending the
Let me
CC.
finish, if you don't mind, and then you can make that comment. So what is notice? Okay, so in the Articles of Incorporation, under Article 2, it's called property rights, and that's what this is all about, is property rights. And here it says, every owner shall have the right of easement of enjoyment in the common area, subject to any restrictions or limitation contained herein. Okay, so by the fact that you pay your general assessments, you have the right to use the common areas. Okay, so what's notice? Okay, and that's very important. And so basically notice is, within the provisions of our CCNRs in Article 2, they have to give you notice of a possibility to have an amendment in the case that you want to do something different. It doesn't tell you to do that. So because there's no notice there, the board does not have the authority. I know what your attorney says, so I'm just reading you case law.
So you are not in agreement with the attorney, is that?
I'm reading you straight out of case law.
Okay, but Tim,
I'm not ready yet. So now we're talking about the Dreamline decision. And what the Dreamline decision basically is, it almost mimics what we're trying to do here. Okay, it's basically what happened in.
But that's on private property, we are talking about common areas. The Callaway decision was regarding 7 lots in an association. And the association got together and they decided that they were going to try to pass an amendment to their CCNRs that would affect an owner of 3 of those lots because they didn't like how he was going to use it. And so the Callaway case said there has to be notice in the original documents that says that that might be subject to change. But that's on private property.
Actually, that's not the case, and I'll read it again for you.
Our attorney says that.
I know what your attorney's saying, and so, just a second.
So you're an
I would really like.
So you're an attorney now?
Actually, I'm not an attorney, but I ran 8 lawyers, and I understand the law.
You know,
Hold on here a second, because this.
I think that if you are going to take this amount of time and delay business being done, which did cost money, then you need to have an attorney's opinion to back you up, because otherwise we came with a credible attorney opinion. Please substantiate your comments with a like opinion.
Okay, so I am. Okay, good for you guys. So you should have an opinion. But this specifically says that in the opinion of the court, this is what CCNR should say. And you're right, the Callaway decision was originally had to do with property rights with regards to cattle or animals and where to put property and all that stuff. But the Callaway decision changed all that. And what's happening right now within a lot of the HOA attorneys is the fact that they're using Callaway and they're afraid of Callaway because of the fact of, you and I discussed this, because of short-term rentals. So it goes a lot further than what you think. And so I understand you to say that.
It's not what I think, it's what the attorney offered. I took what you said very seriously, and I once again approached the attorney and asked her to please offer an opinion on it. I didn't do any of this lightly.
Why didn't you have the attorney call me? Why can't we discuss it?
Why should we pay for that? Because you have said that you don't respect what the attorney says on numerous occasions.
I'm reading you straight out of the opinion.
Yeah, but Tim, you're reading that straight out of an opinion to a group of people who don't do law every single day. You're asking them to take what you're saying, and I'm going to respectfully disagree with you. Having done it for 30 years and not worked as administrating an office, but actually reading case law and understanding case law, this decision has to do with the amendments and changes to the CCNRs. What we are asking here to do today is a policy change. That has nothing to do. We are not taking the rights away from any homeowner. That is what our CCNRs are set up for, our homeowners, the owner. We're not taking any of their rights away. They're entitled to go and use our facilities every day as they choose to use that.
So I'm going to ask you a direct question.
Just a minute. What we're limiting is how we allow the guests to come into our facilities. But we're not taking their rights away. We're not changing any of that at all. They're allowed to use their facilities as they want every day.
And I read you a section of our CCNRs which notices that we as a board have the right to make reasonable rules and regulations.
We are not amending.
It's in the CCNRs.
That's true, but here's the deal. There's got to be notice within the section of Article 2 that allows us to make that decision.
Yeah, but doesn't notice us to an amendment. We're not making an amendment, and we have given them notice because we have an open meeting policy and we put it on the agenda and we allow the homeowners to come in and have the conversation and listen to what they have to say.
Okay,
So we've given them.
So you understand that specifically there has to be written notice within the CCNRs.
There is.
Can you please let me finish? There has to be notice within the Article 2 under property rights that says that the board at any time may decide to charge guests.
And you're offering.
It doesn't say that.
No, but it doesn't have to. It says we
Okay,
have
so,
policies, and we're not affecting the homeowner's rights.
You're discriminating.
Rules and regulations.
You're discriminating
Article 7,
against them
Section
because you're
4.
charging certain people that use a certain facility more than others.
No, they're not.
Yes, they have guests.
Everybody has the right to bring in 5 guests. And everybody who exceeds the free and the 20 is charged that. It's not discrimination. You don't understand what discrimination is.
I actually, goodness gracious, people. The point is this, is there a provision or notice within Article 2 that allows you to charge guests that after a certain amount? And there's
Yes,
nothing there.
it gives the board the right to have policies and procedures.
Not when it affects money.
Doesn't say that.
You couldn't approve the budget?
So if you're charging.
Article 7, Section 4.
Okay, but.
I read it once, and were you in the restroom or something? Do you want me to read it again?
Yeah, please.
Rules and regulations. The association, through its board of directors, may make and enforce reasonable rules and regulations governing the use of the properties, which rules and regulations shall be consistent with the rights and duties established by this declaration.
Okay, so it talks about the use. So it means like what time they open, what time they close, you know,
No, it
whatever.
does not.
That's, so I'm specifically, okay, fair enough.
But we're not, we've been charging for punches for several years.
For 23 years, somebody said last week.
Right, so what is the problem?
Because Callaway changed that.
No,
When
it
the decision-
did
Yes,
not.
it did.
I respectfully disagree. Callaway
So does
has to
the
do an
attorney.
amendment.
We need to start to move on, and Tim, if you want to challenge this further, please bring an attorney opinion.
My
Because
name is Jan Tolman. I live in Cypress Point. Do you all ever meet for executive board meetings?
Yes.
executive sessions, yes.
Then I would suggest, Mr. Davis, that if you have these issues with your own board, that you would please attend or bring them up at the executive meeting or request a special executive meeting before dragging the homeowners through all of this nonsense.
And that gives a little background. He has done.
Respect. It's been good for you.
He has done that, Jan, and I have had the attorney come and educate him on the law that he is disputing in executive session multiple times too. The reason I'm making it public today was because in the last meeting he made it public, and I want everyone to be assured we conduct business of this corporation legally.
Yes. Yes.
and others throughout Mountain Part Estates. And I do want to say how much I present Mr. Tim Davis for taking all of our time for this. You're doing absolutely nothing but expressing your opinion. If you think there's legal, she's right. Bring in an attorney, but do not sit here and talk to us about my opinion on this and my opinion on that when you do not have legal status to do that. If you want to do it, bring an attorney who will give us the legal lead.
And
Don't waive any more paper status.
I don't want it.
Okay. Thank you. At this point, I want to call the question on the motion. So all in favor, please raise your hand. And all dissenting, do you want to give a reason, Tim?
Cowley decision.
Okay, it's all, yes,
The reason was Callaway decision?
yes.
Okay, thank you.
Amy, put that to the motion. I mean, I changed it.
Sure.
It's 5, yes, blah, blah, blah. What is the motion?
Okay, the motion was made by Steve Markovich and amended to take the recommendation from the ad hoc committee for the resident guest passes to keep the 20 free annual guest passes per property. Number 2, per the budget committee recommendation, additional purchased punch passes are 20 punches for $100. Maximum of 5 guests are allowed per resident per day. Children under 16 do not require a punch. And this is effective immediately.
So that's 15 and under.
16.
Well, under 16 is 15.
Yeah,
I think we better amend that to say 16 and under.
16 and under, good.
Okay.
Does everybody agree to that?
Yes.
Yes. Everybody doing okay?
Correct. If they're 16 and under, they're not included in the 5 maximum.
Said there was not included in the budget, I just want to make sure that.
Correct. Not included in 5. Thank you.
Okay. We're all doing good. Let's, you'll have to come up to the mic so it can be recorded at PNC.
Just one question, if the community, are there enough people in the community that disagree with the policy that you guys come up with? What's the procedure on getting it overturned?
I don't know, what do you consider enough people? And you ignored us that this board was elected by the community to represent them. And that's what we feel we are doing.
So the proper procedure is to write a letter to the board of directors, ask for it to be put on an agenda item, and revisit it again.
Okay, because my understanding is that policies are not written in stone. They're not like the founding documents. They can be overturned at any time. Correct?
That's what you're going to do, as Karen said.
Okay,
Come
that's
to the board.
good. That's all I need to know. Thank you.
We'll expect your letter.
Oh, come on.
Just clarification. So the policy is now when we punch in guests, we have to be with the guests.
It's been that way for years. Yep. It's been that way for 2 to 3 years.
Okay, I just,
1 year. He's just clarifying.
I thought I heard when you were talking about the wristband policy, you could punch them in.
Nope.
And then you did not have to be there.
Nope. You have to do that.
Okay.
It's just to show that they're a guest, not the president.
Great.
All right, let's move on. Thank you. Anything else, Paul? Were you raising your hand? Okay.
I think you need to think about how this is going to be administered. Because when you come in and check in at the entrance, how are they going to know, or what are you going to have to document on what the age of the person is? It's going to be an honor system.
There will be an honor system.
So I'm just saying, it's a little open.
I mean,
Paul, I agree with that because it's always when you set a policy and enforcement, we are concerned about that. Again, we trust the residents, and if you have 16 is a much better for number than 12 or 14 to decide. You know, they have to have a driver's license or an ID or something like that. So we'll work on the procedure after
This
the
is
policy.
for 16 or under, and it's not relating to grandchildren or not grandchildren. Is that correct? No, that's not part of the amendment.
Correct.
So it's person.
Little kids.
Okay, so it's not interact.
And I can look at most kids and pretty well.
No, that's okay, but we don't have to also try to figure out if they're real grandchildren or not.
No, we don't need to do that.
And that addresses the
Thank
GDS
you.
and everything.
Okay. Good, let's move on. I have another hand. Okay, thank you. I didn't see you, Joan.
Good morning, my name is Joanne Sacco and I live in Torrey Pines. I have a couple questions. When you say guests coming in, are you going to put that to card groups and what about bingo?
That's the next agenda item.
Okay, then I have a question about the pool. I am older, I do not have any grandchildren, so when I go to the pool, I don't appreciate all these. I love kids. I love kids like I like dogs. But when I go to the pool, some parents and grandparents don't know how to maintain their kids. They're out there throwing things. They're having grandparents are going off the steps and throwing their kids in the pool, which is a liability for Westbrook. They go running around the pool. They eat by the pool. So who monitors them?
The front desk.
The front desk people are afraid to come out and say anything because they'll get mad at them. And I, as a resident, shouldn't have to be monitoring them.
Correct.
So why are they doing that? I think that you're allowing so many more kids in the pool. I don't appreciate going in when they go peeing in the pool and all of that. So
Well, that's disgusting. Thanks for bringing that up. And pool hours vary from pool to pool. You know, if they're okay at one pool, but you could go to the other pool if you don't want to be around the kids. Because we're a gregarious community.
Let me talk. Why don't you get it down more to having maybe 2 days a week? Break down the number of days they can come. In the summer, I live at the pool, and I don't want to go with a bunch of kids. And there's a lot of older people that go to that pool that feel the same ways that I do that aren't in this group. So why do they have to have so many more? Why don't they go down to Glendale, the pool down at Glendale? Why do they all have to come here? And that is the same for the gym. We have a lot of young teenagers in that gym that go to it.
Okay, thank you for your comments. I hear you. Thank you. We've heard this line of logic before, and I always say, I was a teacher for a lot of years, and I had kids up to here. So I made sure I had my own pool when I moved to Westbrook, and I put myself in my own pool.
And we always have the ability to go to a pool without children.
Yes. Yes, it's not like you have no recourse. You can go to the one that doesn't have kids hours that day. I'm sorry, it seems a little inconvenient, but from rec center to rec center, it's 2.6 miles, and that's not a huge inconvenience. I'm driving. Yes. Do you want to say something else? You're going to kill me for making the pool comment.
No, I'm going to kill you for saying that I should have to come into Westbrook and buy my own pool.
Yeah, that's it.
You should never have said that. I maybe don't have as much money as you do, and I shouldn't have to build a pool in my backyard to avoid going to something I pay my HOA fees for.
And nobody's asking that you can go to the other pool, ma'am.
You said that when you...
I said that was my own personal experience. That was my own personal experience.
All right. No, we're not digressing this into that. Okay.
Really, and that was my personal experience. I didn't want to be around a lot of kids, I admit it. Okay, club guest pass recommendations.
Well, Max was gonna present this, but Max being out with the flu, Marcy, I hate to put you on the spot and not be prepared, but this came from a recommendation from the rec committee that you are on.
Yes.
For the club guest pass. On page 23 of the board binders, can you go to page 23, please? It talks about the recommendation coming from not from the guest club guest passes. Two separate items, often getting confused. The board sent this back to the rec committee. The rec committee has spent 2 or 3 months on this. And in your minutes, there are the 2 recommendations of a fee and clarifying an easier name to decipher so it does not get crossed with the resident guest pass.
Correct. So it was the recommendation of the rec committee that the current amount, which is $50 for club guest members per year, to be raised to $75 per guest. We also are recommending that we change the name from annual club guest pass to non-resident club participation card, because that is all that their cards are available for, is the participation in that particular club. And if only that particular club allows participation from non-residents. So,
for purposes of discussion, may I please have a motion on those 2 items?
Do you want them separate or together?
I would put them together.
Okay. I will make the motion that we increase the annual fee to $75 for what now is the annual club guest pass, and change that name to the non-resident club participation card.
May I have a second, please?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Bruce.
Effective when?
Effective immediately.
Thank you. Okay, I have a question. On the $75, it doesn't seem to have a lot of tie-in to what we just did. To me, it should be $100 because just like the excess guests, these people have the ability to visit our facilities on a daily basis. So I am thinking it should be $100 fee, not the $75. That's just my thought once again. And I know that sometimes I don't have good thoughts.
Is this for the renters? Is that what you're talking about?
No. So Donna, what happened? So we have all of the 84 clubs, okay? And the presidents of all those clubs have the opportunity when they turn their club packets in to say that they are willing to accept a certain number of non-resident participants in their club, okay? They're limited only to what that club is doing. So for example, I'm the president of the Desert Dancers, and we currently have 2 non-resident members that come and dance in our classes and also participate in the folly production that the dancers put on. But their club pass is limited only to those sanctioned things for that club. So they're not coming in and using our facilities. They can't use the pool, they can't use the gym, they can't go play, bridge or whatever. If they want to do that and that club allows a guest pass, they must purchase a second pass card for that club to be able to participate. That's what we're talking about.
I know it's confusing, thank you.
Could you explain what is the intent of that? I do know it's because of reduced numbers in some of the clubs, but what is the board's overall, what is the intent?
of those cards?
The intent is for those people to help participate in clubs, and sometimes in clubs that maybe they bring a certain thing to that. For us as dancers, they are people coming in and dancing. They're contributing to our Follies production. The same being true with the players. When the plays that are being put on, they're directors. They may not be people from within inside the village, but it is something that is benefiting the village that you can go and watch and see and participate in.
A lot of times they bring in an enriched background into the club that really helps.
Okay, thank you.
And we also have a couple club guests, club members, that were previous residents of Westbrook. And maybe they had a life-changing situation that they had to move to and assisted living with their spouse, but they still want to participate in a club that they've been allowed to be a member of. But again, many of our clubs, as presented in last month's board binder, or 2 months ago, many of the clubs don't allow any guests because of the space and the quantity.
And how many currently memberships are there like that? Or cards?
Less than 15?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a big.
Right. Right.
It's controlled.
Yes.
I just feel that these particular guests or non-residents are benefiting the club. The choir is shrinking, the dance club is shrinking. I don't see why we need to raise the price at all. If there are 15 people, that's not going to bring much revenue. So why try to dissuade these people from coming when it actually helps our clubs?
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, yes? Okay.
Can you shorten the name of this thing?
The comment was to shorten the name.
You have to tell people what that was, or any, I mean, I could tell them what it is, but I could never come up with that name.
I think if you think about it, it kind of makes sense though. Non-resident club participation card. We're trying to.
Valid point to the given. This pass benefits only certain clubs. And I'm well aware of 2 of the clubs where these members are on fixed incomes. And I don't, all of a sudden, it just hit me like, what's $25 additional doing for us? I mean, what were we after? Other than, it looks like we're trying to restrict non-residents coming in here. Because PAC is specifically using this to bolster their numbers for their performances. And all of a sudden I realized I don't think I can support the $75 issue at this point. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Maybe I'm missing something, but just before this, we were talking about increasing the cost that we're gonna pay for our guests, but you're gonna allow outsiders that are non-residents of our community to come in for $75, they could be part of a club for the entire year?
And only
Or
that
$50, that's wear and tear, that's all of this stuff, I don't understand it, it's benefit, and I understand it's benefiting for a player or the dancers or whatever. But it doesn't make sense to me if we as residents have to pay more for our guests, but yet Tom Henry can come in and be a part of a club for $50 to $75 for the entire year.
That's why I wanted
That
to
doesn't make
say
sense to me.
$100 made sense to
But
me.
why should they even be able to? Why shouldn't they be on the guest pass part as well? Because it's a part of the
In a
club.
perfect
$5 each.
Right, let them.
Make it all the
In a
same.
perfect world, that may be it, but it's recognized that there's certain activities that really benefit from.
But it's not benefiting our entire community. It's not benefiting what you're calling it. So it's benefiting everybody within our community, and that's not, that is not benefiting our entire community. It has nothing to benefit me at all. But I just wanted to say I was just confused about that.
Okay,
Because we're kind of flip-flopping.
I've heard back and forth a little bit of an argument to what you just said.
I
Yeah.
understand.
Their performances are enjoyed by the community. So, okay.
So the motion is to increase the fee from 50 to 75 and amend the title to non-resident club participation card with Marcy making the motion and Bruce seconding.
All right.
I think I agree that we should keep everything in line and it should be $100.
Committee recommended 75.
I see that.
So voted. Well, you just vote.
And
Vote, yes.
being the past two-term president of the pickleball club, we have, and I see Vince, you have two?
Two what? Yes.
Guest club members?
One. Down to one.
Okay, because it's probably the same one that was there when I was the president.
Yeah, it's a grandfather.
Exactly.
We're not bringing in anybody else.
Perfect, thank you.
I also want to say that the ad hoc committee that considered these things and the rec committee, when they were considering them, it was a focused discussion. We didn't bring all guest passes really into the consideration. So I think that's why the disparity in the $100 happened, and that's the way the committees analyzed it. Paul, you want to say something?
Yeah, I didn't bring one, but for everybody in the audience, if you look under the activity report now, it does indicate on the right side the number of these annual club guest passes, and it's not a huge number. So if you go online, pull up the last thing, you'll see that's on that one. But anyway, the one that I've got, I forgot to bring it today, it does show the right of where.
It was on last month, but they didn't put it on this one. So, yeah, you're right, Paul, there's, there's not a lot.
Okay.
Just to clarify, for the theater group, and I believe also for other groups within the PAC, the guest, the non-resident participation people who come in and benefit us, like directors and choir leaders and things like that, tech people, they are not really paid for what they do. They are paying us to come in and volunteer. They put in a lot of hours, at least for our group, a lot of hours, and they are not compensated for the hours and the work that they put in, or for sometimes the equipment they loan us and the other things that happen. And there are, for instance, a play, countless hours of rehearsals and at homework and things that are done, and then they come in and lead us to put on a better quality performance for our community. And they do it as a volunteer with maybe a stipend, and that's it. And so I don't think it's not people coming in and using wear and tear on our facilities. Walking across the floor is not wear and tearing.
Okay. We are running real long on this meeting, so I hope that we can speed up the process a little bit. I'm gonna, the motion stands as at $75, and the name change stands to non-resident club participation card. I remember it. So,
I agree with Donna. Why should we, as a community, allow folks to come in here, use our amenities, and pay less than we do as residents? every year, we each pay $7.95. So what we're saying is, if you look across Union Hills, and you want to come in here and utilize our gym.
Nope.
Jim's not a club.
Not a club.
Vince, I'm gonna use the pickleball club, sorry, man.
One.
So, is that fair to all of you?
Yeah.
And I'll rest my case.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, I'm going to call for a vote on this motion.
I vote no.
All in favor, raise your hands. 1, 2. Okay, all dissenting, raise your hands. 1, 2, 3. Okay, the motion fails. So it actually remains at what it was, I guess.
Is there another motion anybody wants to make? Hold on. Is there another motion that anybody feels to make?
Separate them.
Next subject.
I'd like to make a motion to have the club guest pass be equal to any type of guest pass that comes in. So if we're looking at, for a guest pass, we're looking at $100 for 20, then for each time somebody comes in, they need to pay the appropriate amount of money.
So, can I ask you a question? So, you're saying get rid of the non-resident club participation card completely and make them check in with a resident guest punch?
Yes, that's correct.
And so that resident can use their 20 for free and then purchase them for the same cost as the other.
Yes.
Okay, but then do they get to go and use all the facility?
Oh,
Yeah,
that's,
so then they can use the pool and the gym and everything else, because that's what that guest is being brought in to do. As long as they're followed by that person.
And the Wi Pass is good for all day and all things.
yep,
So that's a big one there.
that's a difference of the two.
Do you have a different thought after reading it too? Okay, well, is there another motion?
Well, he made a motion, correct? Do you have a second?
Oh, that was a motion?
Yeah.
Tim made a motion.
Is there a second on that? Okay, that motion then failed. Is there another motion?
May I ask if we don't act on this, things will remain the same? Is that what we're expecting?
Yeah, if nothing gets.
Okay, because that's where I'm coming from. I think we should just stay with where we're at now.
But change the name, please.
Yeah.
Okay, make that motion. Make that motion.
I will make the motion. What is it? I make the motion that we keep our annual fee for the non-resident club participation card at $50. Well, okay, I thought I said that.
Yeah, I know what you were trying to do there.
I am such a good public speaker sometimes. I would like to make a motion that we change our club guest pass to non-resident club participation card at the existing charge of $50 a year.
Okay,
I'll second it.
okay. Let us have a vote on that motion. All in favor, please raise your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4. And opposed? Tim, do you want to say why you're dissenting on this?
I think it should be the same as everybody else, and we need to keep it.
Okay,
That is a mistake.
okay, very good. That motion passed. Okay, onward to the club bylaws update.
Okay, the club bylaws were tabled to clean up the red line and email out to the club presidents. That is happening at the end of this week. as well as the LRP new homeowner survey. So we will have 2 survey type documents going out. Those will go to the club presidents only. We are giving them 2 weeks for their input, and that hopes to be on the board agenda for February. The club bylaws update.
Very good, thank you. On to new business, new line dance instructor approval. Was that one to the rec committee?
Correct.
Who wants to talk about that?
Max?
Okay, so I'll take that one over. I would like to introduce Cheryl Cramp, who has volunteered to now be our new line dance instructor with the approval of the board. She has been vetted by the rec committee. She does have all the appropriate documentation, including insurance and references and application filled out. So
she's a resident,
and she is a resident. Yes.
So this is replacing Audrey's line dance. We've always had a line dancing class. Audrey unfortunately had some health issues last year and notified us she would not be returning. So Cheryl has stepped up, and we're very glad because we've got a lot of requests for the line dancing classes.
Thank you, Cheryl. Okay, may I have a motion on this?
I'll make a motion to approve Cheryl Cramp as a new line dance instructor.
And may I have a second?
I'll second.
Any comments? Any questions? Okay,
I only have one question. No.
does she teach the
I'm
Macarena?
sorry, but it's gonna, we can table it for another time. I just wanna ask, are all people teaching lessons and, you know, working on our facilities, collecting money, are they all vetted by the rec committee?
A paid instructor has to be recommended by the rec committee and approved by the board.
How do we get a list of?
It's in the magazine every month for all the classes with the instructors' names.
What if they're not listed and they're taking money for lessons?
Then you need to write the board of directors a letter.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I sort of knew that was coming.
Table it.
Okay, I'm going to call on the vote. All in favor of approving the new line dance instructor, please raise your hand. And that was unanimous. Thank you for putting your hand forward for this. Thank you.
Welcome, Cheryl. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Zero-state conversion proposal for area north of the Lakes tennis courts. And this has been a long time. Between the golf course and the HOA.
So in your packets, starting on page 34 through 36, you will see a proposal from Service Direct Landscape. For the last 3 years, since the golf club came to us and said we need to move our well, you need to move your horseshoe pits, and we need to do a survey. So the association split a survey with the golf course and realized the gentleman's handshake agreement that's been in place for over 30 years was incorrect. The association owns this property north of the Lakes tennis courts, not south of the tennis courts that they've maintained and used for the horseshoes. This area has restricted access. You can walk through the center of the tennis courts, or you can drive your golf cart through the golf club into the back of this. We have met with Village Square to the east. We have met with the golf club. Everybody's had on-site meetings with irrigation techs and landscape. The golf club asked to do this in quarter minus, so it matches the area directly north of the cart path that you're seeing with the bushes. That in turn saved us quite a bit of money, not putting in 3/4 inch Madison gold. This was presented to landscape and facilities and architectural control, and they are passing it on to the board for approval. And it is in our money budget for 25.
And Karen and I tried to get a grant from the city of Peoria, but they said no, because it's the golf course water. It's not water purchased from the city of Peoria. And we were bummed. Needless to say.
Nice try.
What is it now?
Dead grass.
That was a turf farm for the golf course.
Thank you.
Mhm. Anything else? Yeah, let's have a motion. And we need the dollar amount mentioned in the motion, please.
Okay, I make a motion that we accept the proposal by SDL in the amount of $13,860.
All right, a second?
A second.
All right. Any comments? Then I will call the question. All in favor, please raise your hand. And that is unanimous. Thank you. Okay. Moving on to committee reports. Architectural, Marcy.
Okay, architectural, whew, that was a long meeting for us, we didn't even get through everything. It was 2.5 hours was our architectural meeting. So you still have to join us for that fun too. So, basically, applications were set forth, we approved a good portion of them, and we are still talking about the artificial turf and changes to that a little bit, nothing significant as it stands right now. That'll be on our next discussion for standard amendments next month as one of the things we do. Other than that, the minutes are in your binders.
Okay, thank you. Government relations, Tim?
Yes, the City of Peoria had their meeting on December 17th. They had a study session where we talked about putting up satellite cell towers. I don't know about you, but I don't get very good cell reception where I live. I have Verizon. I don't know about you, but it would be nice to get some satellite ones within our area. So I'm going to reach out and talk to our new councilman. And they talked about around election time, and it has nothing to do with who won the election. But basically, we're at ground zero between recession and so we're sitting okay. So we're hoping that in 2025 things will go up. And speaking about things going up, it looks like our property taxes will be going up 2%.
Yikes.
So that's what I got out of that.
Thank you. Thanks for that report.
And adding to that, we are in communications with the mayor's office and his assistant. They've asked to come to the village again for their state of the city address, and Denise and I are working with them on that.
Is that in March or?
Do you remember, Denise? March.
Okay, thank you. Okay. I better put on my notes, I did from one of these. Okay, IT, Marcy?
We didn't have a meeting last month.
Landscape and facilities, it was just a regular meeting. We didn't have any important topics or new projects that we addressed at that point. Long range planning, Steve.
The minutes are in your binder. We're working on a survey that will go out after the new homeowner survey. Other than that, like I said, the minutes are in your binder, and I'm sure we will sick of hearing me today.
Cornerstone Committee, there was no December meeting because I was doing Christmas. Okay. Personnel, Steve.
No December meeting.
Recreation, Marcy Max.
Other than what was already discussed here today about the guest club passes, it was a pretty straightforward meeting. The minutes are in your binder.
Town Hall, Tim.
Yes, I stopped over at the office right after our last meeting and I couldn't hook up to get a date for February for Town Hall. I will be emailing so we can get a date, and some of the people have asked for, again, on financials. However, I will discuss that with the board and find out what they would like to see for our next meeting.
Thank you. All right, Ways and Means, Steve?
You heard the treasurer's report, we're in good shape, thank you.
Golf course, no December meeting. We discussed having meetings every quarter rather than monthly, because we don't have that much business left to do between us at this point. So, managers' reports.
Those are pages 50 to 54 in your binder. We're here for any questions.
Okay, for the good of the order.
I have two things. First one, we will be sending out an email, but in the front of all the board binders, you had an invitation to the upcoming posse installation. That is Thursday evening, January 16th at 7 p.m. at the Vistas Ballroom. Mark Gittens will be the incoming commander, and Police Chief Terreri will be officiating and swearing everybody in. So the posse is inviting everybody that would like to attend. It's a great event.
Hopefully this meeting will be over so we can.
It might not be over by then. But next, just as a reminder, if you haven't heard, your annual assessment is due. $795.90 was due January 1st. Please be sure to get it in prior to the end of the month, because as of February 1st, the 10% late fee goes automatically on there by the software program. So you can drop those off at either Rec Center, the administration office, or pay online. That's all I have.
Candidates.
Oh, candidates forums. We have 2 candidates forums that were noted in your annual assessment letter. And per the request, we have added a second one this year. So our first candidates forum, it's no longer candidates night, will be Monday, February 3rd at 7 p.m. at the Lakes Ballroom. The second one will be Saturday, February 8th at 10 a.m. also at the Lakes Ballroom. We have asked our moderator to return, past board member and resident Tom Canepa, and last month the board agreed to have 2 additional board members seated with the moderator, and they have also asked for a microphone. I shared the moderator's concern about the open mic for such a forum.
So we do have open mics at the annual meetings and at town halls, so there will be an opportunity for an open mic, but the moderator felt that it might be hard to control the event and keep it into a timely, most people don't want to sit through a 2-hour meeting. We have found we lose people after about an hour and a half or an hour and 15 minutes. So we decided that event won't have an open mic, but please come to the annual meeting, because I'm so good at keeping meetings short.
So all questions will be filtered through the 2 board members sitting with the moderator and with the moderator.
I think that it would be good to ask Bruce and Marcy to be those ancillary monitors. Would you be willing to do that?
I would.
Yes.
Okay, so we will review with the moderator, although he would have final word on the questions.
So we'll have a meeting prior to that with the 3 of you. Okay? Okay?
Sarah, could you those dates, is it the 3rd and the 8th?
Correct.
At 10 o'clock in
Yep.
the morning?
No, the 3rd is at 7 PM, the 8th is at 10 AM. Yep, Monday, Saturday,
At the lakes.
both at the Lakes Ballroom.
Okay, and just a little added thought on the open mics.